one of the main areas that we go in and work with the teachers on is developing their subject knowledge, and trying to help them to get into a position where they feel confident enough to deliver whichever activity or syllabus or scheme of work that they've been requested to do so by their school. When we chat to the primary school teachers and the conversations that I've had, it's quite apparent that there's very little training that goes on, or they have very limited training in the secondary school, in the universities, and they often come to primary schools feeling lacking in confidence. I think a lot of the primary school teachers, they get a little bit daunted by facing with the task of having to teach football or basketball or rugby or hockey. And what we try and do in the co-delivery is get them to move away from teaching the hockey or the football or the basketball, but just try to help them to teach the skills that then can be applied across lots of different activity areas. So for example, the throwing and catching, passing and receiving and movement, whether that be basketball or hockey or rugby or football, they can go over lots of different physical activity areas. And then the final thing that we kind of work with the teachers on is how to structure the lesson, how to make sure that the lesson has challenge, how to make sure that the lesson accommodates all abilities within the class that the teacher is teaching. So lots of different areas that we look at when delivering the co-delivery.
At Little Lee Primary School, where I was for the last few years, a lot of the staff weren't particularly confident in teaching PE, and they would openly say that. I think one of the biggest areas was the skill progression that they weren't as confident with, and the actual skills and the breakdown of skills within each sport. So the co-delivery enabled them to have somebody who was more experienced come and deliver example lessons to them, but also to bounce ideas off and to build their skill, knowledge and the confidence with those skills, but also to understand the structure and how to structure a PE lesson.
Again, a big thing, and I keep coming back to this word, confidence. A lot of the teachers just lack the confidence. They've had very little training and they've been thrown in with a class of 30 students and expected to do a gymnastics lesson or go out and do a striking and fielding lesson, etc. So it's very much working with them to see what ideas they have and then trying to build on those ideas. It's very collaborative. It's not me coming in and saying you need to do it this way. I don't want them to become a robot and just copying my teaching. I want them to find their own teaching style, but if along the way I can offer them some advice, some ideas, try and help them to develop a philosophy that they can then pass on to their children, which are going to enable their children to progress, they're going to help those children to be challenged, whatever ability they are, and more importantly, help those children to have a really positive physical experience.
Often some of the teachers have never experienced actually delivering a session to 30 children. They may have had small groups of adults to work with, but not children. And so we'll give them priority.
I think it's very much having a professional dialogue. I often start by having a conversation with this member of staff, well with all the members of staff, just to find out what their experience is of teaching PE, what kind of interest they have both in and out of the school with regards to PE. And then it's just trying to work with them, just not telling them, it's watching them and trying to offer some support. It's very supportive, very collaborative, and just maybe getting them to reflect on what they are currently doing. And again, if I can offer some advice and just getting them to reflect and maybe question things that they're doing and maybe looking at different and alternative ways to deliver certain activities, then that's how we go about with a more experienced member of staff.
To ensure that the skill progression is there throughout all year groups and for all of our teachers, we have run almost the last 7 years we've been involved since I've been at the school with co-delivery, and each year we run it on a cycle now because we've not got a huge turnover of staff. We run it on a cycle, so we ensure that all 7 teachers in each class over a 2-year period get a chance to work with it's Mr. Finney, our school sport partner, and therefore every other year you are getting specific 6-week training where you can observe, where you can be observed, and you can work together to plan lessons.
The co-delivery, I must admit, is one of my favourite aspects to teach and to work with the primary school students and especially the teachers.